Alright YouTube, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to go over this pretty fast. Just give you a little insight on what to look for when you're buying a used sport bike. First thing you want to do is look at your brake disc. Feel them with your finger or a pin if they're catching. If you can catch it with your finger or a pin, they need to be replaced. Look at your brakes real good. Look at your brake pads. Make sure they're not metal to metal. Look for things like safety wire. There'll be a pinhole right here in your brake caliper bolts, about an 1/8 inch. Look for drilled holes in there. That'll tell you if it's been raced. Another way to check if it's been raced, it won't have green fluid in the reservoir. It'll be like pink or some other kind of color. Racetracks don't allow you to have antifreeze on the racetrack, so keep that in mind too. Check for things like false neutral when you do a test drive. The way you can do that is get it in second gear, get it about halfway up to throttle, close the throttle, simultaneously stepping on the back brake, not to lock it up, but just to come to a complete stop as fast as you can. And if the bike lands in neutral, you got a problem. So keep that in mind. Do it 2 or 3 times and make sure it doesn't land in neutral, it stays in second. Another thing to look at is your back sprockets. They should look kind of like that, not all sharp. If they're sharp, they're worn. This one probably has about 1,000 miles on it. When they get really worn, they tend to hook, so keep that in mind. Let's see. When you're buying something that's damaged, like this one, keep in mind that most of this stuff here is plastic and fiberglass. So if you see something like this, you can pretty much bet you're gonna have to replace this light holder too underneath there. So keep that in mind when you're offering somebody money for a bike. Let's see. Look at your oil. You have an oil glass down here. Make sure it's got little lines on it. Make sure it's not overfilled or underfilled. Obviously start it up and listen to it run. If you hear any weird knocking in the engine or anything like that, you definitely want to walk away from it. Let's see. Look for, when you look at the wool, make sure it's not milky. You want to either a tan colored wool or a dark color. Usually synthetic wool turns dark fairly quick, so you just don't want it to be like a milky looking color. Your brake reservoir fluid should be amber, no other color than that. Look at your chain adjustment. Here's your adjustment bars. Let's see, the sun's kind of away here. There's a block here, and I can't get a good shot of it, but there's a line that lines up to these bars here. Make sure they're the same on both sides. This is perfect slack in a chain. It may be no, I wouldn't say perfect. It may be a little tight, but it's not bad. You don't want something real loose, but you don't want it so tight to where you can't at least do that. General rule on your clutch, your play, this is a little bit more than it should be. I'll adjust it before I get riding. But general rule is you should be able to stick a nickel in there for your play. Let's see. If you want another way to tell if it's been raced, racing fuel leaves no residue. Stick your finger in here. Look at it. There's residue. It's pump gas. There's no reason to buy race fuel if you're not racing. It's too expensive, and you can't store it without a license. So let's see what else. Things that increase a bike's value, in my opinion, would be fully adjustable rear shocks and Olin shocks. Stuff like exhaust and power commanders, those are just fun parts. They do increase performance, but performance doesn't give you, or horsepower doesn't do you any good if you can't stop the bike or control it. So just keep that in mind. Upgraded brakes, Brembo brakes are real good. These are stock. Steel braided brake lines, stuff like that are good. This bike doesn't have that, but let's see what else. Man, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff I'm leaving out. If you're buying from an individual, make sure you bounce up and down on the forks. It should never be wet here. There shouldn't be any grooves or anything like that in here. This should be smooth, very smooth. And if it's leaking, you need to request that they replace those fork seals for you. That's what I would do. Dealerships have to do it by law, so if you're at a dealership looking at a bike and it's an accredited dealership, keep that in mind. If it's an accredited dealership, they have to do it by law. Let's see, what else? Look at your hoses and stuff, make sure they're not cracked. Your tires are pretty expensive. I like to see little knobbies like this. That's an indication of a brand new tire. If you want to tell if somebody's done a lot of track time, look at the wear on the tire. If there's more wear on the sides here, you can tell because they'll be narrow, and then they'll have a lot of meat going on the sides. That's an indication of a lot of track time or track use. Gearing a bike is not good for your transmission, so keep that in mind. Yeah, that's probably about all the time I have, so leave me your comments. If I can help in any other way, let me know.